Good Friday morning. How's everyone doing this wonderful Friday morning? It's great to guys have you on to my YouTube channel. This is our second to last video. Only one more after today for these Friday morning videos, and my YouTube channel will have to then adapt for the summer. It's been awesome time doing these videos. I know I got a new subscriber this week. I had Aiden subscribe to my channel. If you want, anybody can subscribe to my channel. Like and subscribe. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get into what we normally do on Friday mornings, and that is starting off with our reading. This is our new reading, and it comes from space, and it comes from Miss Barbara Fierman. Fierman. You can see here we have an astronaut here to the left and an astronaut to the right, and they are doing some shenanigans, getting these oranges and pears and apples and I'm not sure, oranges, pears, apples, maybe, yeah, did I get them all? Getting them all to kind of float in the air. They're going to talk to us about what is cooking in space. My guess is they're going to talk about what do they eat while they are floating around in space. Here's your table of contents, your intro, planning the meals, preparing the meals, cooking and eating in space. So they do cook in space. And sharing foods from home. And last but not least is the glossary. So, introduction. Imagine it is time for lunch. You sit down and unwrap your sandwich. The next thing you know, your sandwich floats away. You open up a box of juice and the juice shoots straight up into the air. Welcome to the ISS, the International Space Station. Grab your lunch with both hands or it might float away. It can be tricky to eat and drink in space. The pull of gravity is not as strong in space as it is on Earth. People, food, and other items float in the air. But astronauts still need to eat. So scientists who work in space centers on Earth come up with ways to serve food in space. Here's the ISS. This building right here is called the International Space Station. A lot of times they just refer to as the ISS. The International Space Station is a laboratory in space. Since 2000, over 100 scientists from 15 countries have traveled there to do experiments. They want to learn how conditions in space affect living and non-living things. A visit to the space station can last many months. Being weightless. What does being weightless feel like? It feels like being in an elevator that is beginning to drop. For a second or two, you feel as though you're way less. Astronauts feel weightless all the time, and they're in space, and their food seems weightless as well. Planning the meals. Some scientists at the space centers have a special job. They know which foods help people stay healthy. They pick foods that are nutritious or good for astronauts. The scientists know which foods won't spoil or rot as they travel through space. They use what they know about food to help create menus for the International Space Station. These scientists also know that most people have favorite foods. So when they choose meals for astronauts, they try to find out which food the astronauts like to eat. That reminds astronauts of home, that will make them feel more comfortable in space. Before astronauts leave on a mission on the space station, chefs prepare a meal and invite astronauts to dinner. The astronauts rate the food on a scale 1 to 9. The lowest rating is a 1, I don't like this, and the highest rating is 9, I love this food. Foods with a score of 6 or higher will be chosen for the final menus for the mission. Did you know? NASA is a short way of saying National Aeronautics and Space Administration is a U.S. government agency in charge of studying in space. You can learn all about NASA by going to its website. Building bones. On Earth, exercise builds strong bones, but astronauts lose bone strength in space. Luckily, a chemical called calcium also helps you build strong bones. Foods like yogurt, cheese are rich in calcium and are always on the astronaut's menu. So you can see here, this is an astronaut, a scientist, makes food at the new test kitchen at NASA. I don't know what he's got there. He's got maybe some green pepper, red peppers maybe? I'm not sure what he's got in there. Something red. Preparing the meals. In Space Center kitchens on Earth, chefs prepare foods that are almost ready to eat. Dinner might include vegetable soup, chicken and rice, dried apricots, shortbread cookies, and orange juice. Some foods, such as cookies, do not require special preparation. Other foods need special packaging for the trip into space. In space, some foods can be heated inside specially made packages. Other foods are prepared by adding water to the package. There is not much room on a spacecraft, so food boxes need to be small. They are labeled in different languages and kept in a storage closet. So you can see here are some different foods. A garden in space. Astronauts may one day grow their own food crops in space for salads and other fresh foods. Until then, fresh fruits and vegetables are rare treats aboard the space station. Foods are packaged so they won't spoil in space. So you can see here they're really shrunken down. They take all the air out of it, these packages, to make sure that they don't go bad. I think these are cashews. Those are good and like kind of almost buttery. Orangeade, so it's kind of like a drink mix. So it's orange juice, kind of, but in powder form. You add water to it. You can see here these are candy-coated peanuts. These look like to be crackers. This looks like to be cream spinach. This is trail mix. And that looks like kind of like a beef patty, a hamburger patty sort of thing. And this is a beef steak. This is cheddar cheese spread. Needed something before opening, so something in there. None of it looks that tasty. Maybe except the cashews, maybe. Cooking and eating in space. How do you make a meal in space when the food keeps floating away? Astronaut Sandra Magnus solved that problem. She uses duct tape. Strips of duct tape hold the food and the cooking tools down so astronauts can prepare their meals. They also use zipper plastic bags to mix and serve food. So you can see here this astronaut, Sandra Magnus prepares a meal on a spaceship. So you can see she has it all duct taped down and zip locks the baggie so nothing floats away. You can see that her hoodie is starting to float away a little bit. She's starting to float away. So everything's kind of taped down so it doesn't float away. Special delivery. The space station is stocked with food, but astronauts can also order meals from the Space Center kitchens on Earth. How does food get to the astronauts in outer space? That's got to be one heck of an Uber Eats delivery fee. Space shuttles and resupply vehicles deliver meals to the space station. Shuttles are flown by a pilot and return to Earth once supplies have been delivered. Shuttles can go back and forth between space station and Earth for years. Resupply vehicles do not have a pilot. They make only one trip to the space station. After they drop off their food from the space for the astronauts, they are filled with trash from the space station. Then they burn up over the ocean. Oh, that's a good idea. So this is a Japanese resupply vehicle. Got close to the space station. A robot arm pulled it into the docking port that connected to the space station. And then they must have filled it back up with trash and sent it back and burnt all of it up over the atmosphere. It can be tricky to eat in space. Astronauts have to hold onto their food and their silverware at the same time. The trays have sticky fasteners that help solve this problem. The fasteners hold the food packages in place. Magnets on the table keep the metal knives and forks from flying away. It's not just the food packages that float away in space, it's also the food. Astronauts learn to eat carefully. For example, they keep packages of scrambled eggs close to their mouths. If they didn't, bits of their breakfast would fly around everywhere. Ooh, and that would just get everything dirty. Did you know scissors are a necessary tool for eating in space? Astronauts need scissors to open the food packages. So they have these scissors and they open up these food packages. You can see these little these shears here. They're almost like surgical scissors, really small and skinny. They just kind of slice open everything. You can see it kind of holding things down. You have these little Velcro sticky thingies, and you got a magnet that holds down these eating utensils that must have iron in them. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. Peanut butter and jelly tortilla? Why don't astronauts eat sandwiches in space? Crumbs from the bread could float in the air and make the astronauts cough or choke. That's why astronauts use tortilla instead of bread in space. They can spread all kinds of food on a thin tortilla, roll it up, and eat it. And there are no crumbs. See? So Chipotle burritos would work. They use tortillas. Some astronauts say foods taste different in space station. Scientists are not sure why, but people's sense of taste and smell seem to change when they travel in space. Astronauts find ways to wake up their taste buds. They use hot sauce, barbecue sauce, garlic paste, spicy salsa to add flavor to their food. Space Center chefs understand that astronauts miss home-cooked food during a space mission. So each astronaut gets to choose a favorite food or spice. Astronauts usually use something from their homeland that reminds them of the food they eat with their own families on Earth. So you can see astronaut Sandra Magnus adding onion and garlic to the tuna salad she made for her Russian friends on the space shuttle. Lots of Russian dishes include the strong taste of these two ingredients. So she's making food here in this package. That's her handy dandy duct tape that she came up with. I don't know, maybe this is what tuna's in her other hand, her left hand here. The problem with salt. Would you please pass the salt? Isn't a simple question in space. Grains of salt and pepper can fly into astronauts' eyes and into the equipment. So salt is mixed with water and pepper is mixed with oil. Then they drizzle it over the food. Oh, that's right, because sometimes you spill a little salt, no big deal on Earth. It just kind of goes on the table or falls to the ground. But in space, it floats all over the place. And no one wants salt or pepper in their eyes. During holidays, each astronaut is allowed one container from home. The containers hold videos, books, and games as well as their favorite foods. On holidays, the space station becomes an international food festival with foods from all around the world. The astronauts have shared foods like dried moose meat from Sweden, seaweed from Japan, and beet soup from Russia. The astronauts not only share their food, they also share each other's company. They laugh and talk. They build lasting friendships as they enjoy their meals together. In the early days of the space program, the most unusual food was applesauce in a tube. Cooking in space has come a long way since then. Astronauts today are lucky. They get to enjoy a little taste of home high above Earth. So you can see here, these Russian astronauts are enjoying an American Thanksgiving on a space station. Isn't that kind of cool? Two Russian dudes having Thanksgiving. Obviously, Thanksgiving is very unique to the United States. Meaning that we're the only ones that celebrate because it's a holiday that highlights a day in our history. So in Russia, they don't have Thanksgiving, right? It's a different Thanksgiving than ours. So Americans they're having an American Thanksgiving dinner here. I bet you they got turkey and some other things. But wouldn't that be hard to eat, that you have to strap down your food so it doesn't float away? The vote is in. The astronauts chose their favorite foods for space travel. The winners are shrimp, steak, brownies, and lemonade. The all-time favorite food is cold shrimp with hot sauce. That's an interesting way of eating shrimp. Orbiting the Earth on the ISS. The International Space Station, the ISS, is a research laboratory that circles the Earth more than 15 times a day. It's about as large as a football stadium. For more than a decade, rotating crews of astronauts from Canada, Japan, Russia, the United States, and other various European countries have lived on the ISS. They have worked on important research experiments. Research goals are determined by each international partner. Goals have included studies of human health in space, technology, testing for future explorations, and research in biology and basic physical sciences. For example, scientists are trying to determine the effects of microgravity on the growth of living things. They also want to find out about risks to human health from long-term missions in space. The ISS is quite a technological wonder. It is also one of the greatest examples of international cooperation, meaning that all these countries are working together and being very successful when they do work together on something. So let's go ahead and open up here. Look at our agenda. I already knew that reading went first. Now, missing work check-in. I promise to send your missing work early this morning. It'll have everything up to Thursday, up to yesterday. So if you have any missing work all the way up to yesterday, it will be on there. Make sure you get your missing work done. You don't want to have to go into the first day of summer needing to do missing work. Nobody wants to have that hanging over their heads. And it could be a possibility is if you have all your missing work done, could be a possibility. I'm thinking about not having class on May 27th, and those that do have missing work will show up to the May 27th class. If you don't have missing work, you start summer a day early. That's an idea I'm tossing around up here in the old nugget. So think about that as you're looking at all your missing work that I sent to you this morning. Or if you don't have any missing work, congratulations. Thank you. Next, Lexia. So we've done Lexia a few times this week. I'm looking for 4D. 40 total minutes. I want 40 total minutes of Lexia. That's right. 40 total minutes of Lexia. We did some Lexia on Tuesday. We did a little bit on Wednesday. Today, you should have 40 total minutes, meaning that this entire week, they should add up to 40 total minutes. I'm not telling you to do 40 minutes a day. I'm telling you that you must have had up to 40 minutes of Lexia today. So some of you guys may only have 30 minutes of Lexia done. So that means you owe me 10 minutes. Some of you may only have 10 minutes of Lexia done. That means you owe me 30 minutes a day. Some of you have no Lexia done, which is a shame because I don't know what you were doing on those days. I told you to do Lexia. You have to do 40 minutes of Lexia. And all that gets factored into that May 27th release date. Next thing, ScootPad. ScootPad, you should have 40 points in ELA ScootPad total. At least 40 points in ELA ScootPad. You should have 40 points in ELA ScootPad. There's no other way of saying it, and then you must have 40 points. I'll also factor that into our May 27th date. So make sure you have 40 points in ScootPad. Now we are finally ready to get into our work here, our AL and accelerated learning. So let's go ahead and get into our reading page. Let's go here. Sorry. Let's go to reading. Come on, feel the noise. Okay, here we go. Okay. Where are we at? Scrolling. All the way scrolling. Where's the 14? There it is. Finding sources. Oh, wait. Yeah, finding sources. Now I'm getting confused. Yes, finding sources. So we should go into finding sources. Open it up. Once you're in finding sources, we talk about what we're doing this week. You see how it all kind of comes together? This is called online research. This is what we've been working on in our government project, and we're going to expand upon that next week for something else that we're going to do. So we're really going to keep working on some of those skills of utilizing and leveraging our online resources. What should you consider when you're looking, when you search the internet for information? Determine which website contains relevant and credible information is an important part of researching a topic. Using specific keywords can help you narrow down your search result. Once you find an online source, though, you still may not know if the information is accurate and reliable. This video is going to help us out, try to find out if it is accurate and reliable information that you can find on the internet. Because sometimes you can find information, but how do you know if it's accurate and or reliable?
An internet search engine will point you to a lot of information quickly, but not all of that information will be useful. Determining which websites contain relevant, credible information is an important part of researching a topic. Let's watch a short film about Benjamin Franklin. Then we'll learn how to find appropriate information on the internet. Benjamin Franklin, printer, scientist, and statesman, was born in Boston on January 17, 1706. At age 12, Franklin began working as an apprentice in the publishing business of his half-brother James. At 17, he left for Philadelphia, where he would open his own printing and publishing office. Franklin also had a strong interest in science. He suspected that lightning was an electrical current, a theory he would test in a famous experiment. On a stormy June night in 1752, Franklin attached a key to the end of a kite string and flew the kite high into the clouds. He waited for lightning to strike. When the lightning passed through the metal key, he knew his hypothesis was correct. Lightning was in fact an electrical discharge. Among the many jobs of Benjamin Franklin, he had a career in government. He was a diplomat, which included a position as the Postmaster General of the colonies. He organized the postal system, making it efficient and profitable. Benjamin Franklin became very popular due to his drive and success in improving the new government. He proposed that the colonies should seek independence from Britain. Benjamin Franklin played a vital role in some of the most important documents in American history. He worked on the committee that helped draft the Declaration of Independence. Franklin was also a delegate to the Constitutional Convention and signed the Constitution. With his many contributions, Benjamin Franklin played an important role in the history of the United States. Now, let's take a closer look at researching this topic online. How would you begin researching Benjamin Franklin on the internet? Type the name Benjamin Franklin into a search engine, and it will generate a long list of websites. Which of these 3 websites would give you relevant information? Benjamin Franklin, Encyclopedia America. Benjamin Franklin, Bank, PA. Benjamin Franklin Guidebook. Finding historical buildings in Pennsylvania. The Encyclopedia America website would be a good choice. In addition to being the only site with information appropriate to your topic, online encyclopedias give you factual and credible information. They can also help guide your research by giving you other ideas. For example, on the Encyclopedia America website, you might find Benjamin Franklin became famous for discovering elements of electricity. If you wanted more information about your topic, what keywords could you plug into a search engine? Using multiple keywords, like Benjamin Franklin and electricity, will help you to find more internet sites specific to this topic. The search engine might bring up these 3 sites. Which one of these is a relevant and credible source to use for your research? The Electric Company, playing at Ben Franklin Theater. Electricity Rocks. Ben Franklin is my favorite historical figure. And Benjamin Franklin's Experiment with Electricity, Science History. The first website, The Electric Company, playing at Ben Franklin Theater, contains the right keywords, but not the information you'll need for your research. Also, it is important to remember that anyone can post information on the internet. Electricity Rocks. Ben Franklin is my favorite historical figure, might have relevant information, but it appears that this is a personal webpage. The information you find on this website may not be reliable. The best internet site to use would be Benjamin Franklin's Experiment with Electricity, Science History. This site looks like it comes from a credible source and has the topics you need for your research. Internet search engines are a quick way to find websites with information about a topic. You have learned to evaluate those websites based on their relevance to a research topic and their credibility as sources of factual information. Practice searching for electricity on the internet.
We're not going to do that because we've been doing that with our government project. We've been practicing our research skills on that, and they're going to get better and better as the year wraps up and comes to conclusion. So what would be a good place to start when researching the internet for a topic? So anything that's kind of like an encyclopedia would be a really good idea. And we've talked about a few of those this week. Okay, did you get it? How much do you remember from the video? So we're going to use this right here to as to kind of like quiz ourselves, okay? Excuse me. What is the key to good research? Spending a lot of time looking online, finding a variety of sources in your topic, being able to read really fast, or having a friend as a study partner. I think it's B. Yes, finding a variety of sources. So having multiple sources from different places is very helpful. How can you use a computer to find out what's in the library? You can use the library's computer system to see if a book is in the library. B, you can use Google or another search engine while in the library. C, you can carry a laptop with you from shelf to shelf. That'd be tough. You can use the library's computer to chat with the librarian about your topic. All of them work. But we're trying to use a computer to find out what's actually in the library. So the only one that's actually going to do that the best is going to be letter A. What's in the periodical section of a library? Newspapers and magazines, books, encyclopedias, phone books and maps, a dictionary, and thesaurus. Periodicals are things like newspapers and magazines. We don't get those as much as we used to, but they're still good resources. What kinds of websites can be trusted as a source of information for a research report? Commercial websites ending in .com. B, personal blogs published by people with strong opinions on a topic. C, academic sites and websites published by government agencies. Or D, websites created by fans of the movie, television show, or band. Only one makes sense here, and that is academic sites and sites published by governmental agencies. Which is a primary source? A news reporter's summary of the events leading up to an election. B, an interview with a person who experienced the event while you're researching. C, a short story based on what happened. Or D, a book about the history of the tool that you want to know more about. So you're looking for primary, the first-hand experience, and that is going to be that person that's interviewing. They're the primary source. Besides providing a basic summary of a topic, how can encyclopedias help you with the research? They can help you show how to pronounce the word, A. B, they can help provide first-hand primary knowledge of a topic. C, they can suggest other researches to consider. Or D, they can direct you to other sources. I meant to hit D. Sorry. They can direct you to other sources. My bad. Sorry. I missed it. What are secondary sources? Information written by someone who does not have direct first-hand experience with the topic. B, information written by someone who was there and experienced something, an important event. C, accounts that took at least 2 points of view, speakers and narrators. Or D, sources that you would only use after you've looked at all the other ones you found. So secondary means it's a second-hand story. It's coming with that story that came second. So it's like, what happened? Well, you would hear from the second person of what happened. So your answer is online, the World Wide Web. I know people used to call it. We just call it the internet, and also it's very confusing. If you're unprepared to navigate it properly, the internet is a great place to find what you need or want to know. But you can also waste time if you don't learn some tricks for making the most of your internet searches. This video explains some techniques used for the internet for research. The questions that follow will help you understand. We're not going to watch all of it, and certainly I'm not going to take the quiz at the end.
You go online frequently to look for facts and figures, but only a small fraction of people know how to use the internet to its maximum benefit when trying to locate and manage information. For you as a student, that means finding and managing the data you need for reports and term papers. The purpose of this program is to show you how to navigate the internet efficiently, so you can quickly find and organize online information. The more you know about your browser, the program that gets you onto the web and lets you navigate around it, the more likely you'll be able to meet those dual goals of speed and efficiency. As you undoubtedly know, there are many browsers, and for the most part, they're fairly similar. We'll focus on Internet Explorer, since it's by far the most widely used. Internet Explorer sits atop the web page and is composed of 5 rows or tiers when all are turned on. Some provide website information, but most allow you to perform a number of tasks, too many to cover in one program. So we'll focus only on the tasks most useful to students when they gather information for reports or term papers. We'll start on the 3rd tier, the menu bar. Each top or main menu item heads a pull-down list of tasks you can perform. For example, under the File menu, you can save the contents of the web page to a file, the Save As task, print it, or send it via email, either as the page itself or as a link to the page. Emailing a web page or its link can be very useful when you're working on a group or committee project. Under the Edit menu, you can perform a number of tasks similar to those found in word processing programs. For example, you can copy what you've selected and then paste it into a word processing document. That's ideal for quoting accurately, of course, but don't forget to give proper credit by writing citations according to your teacher's instructions. The Favorites menu lists your favorite websites, those you've bookmarked, that is, selected for instant retrieval. Click one and it immediately takes you to that site. As you may know, you can add a website you're currently visiting to your list of favorites, that is, bookmark it, by holding down your mouse button on Favorites, sliding down to Add to Favorites, and then releasing the button. The pop-up dialog box allows you to rename the website if you wish, or leave it as is. In either case, simply click the Add button to add the site to your favorites list. Now let's say you're working on a term paper or similar project that will require visitations to a lot of different websites, many of which you'll need to return to from time to time. In that case, you may find it useful to create a separate folder that contains links to those sites to speed up retrieval later on. To do that, click Favorites, then Organize Favorites. In the pop-up menu that appears, click the New Folder button. Name the folder and press the Enter key. Now you're ready to place pertinent websites into the folder. The next time you find a website you'll want to refer to later, click Favorites and Add to Favorites. Retitle the page if you want to. This one is run by the Preservation Trust, so we'll make Preservation Trust our new title. Then, in the pull-down menu, select your History Report folder, or however you've titled it, and click Add. A link to the site is now in the folder, ready for rapid retrieval. In time,
really
you'll have a
idea,
collection
guys.
of appropriate websites ready to be retrieved instantly. Now, let's look at some items on the fourth tier of Internet Explorer. When you click the Star Favorites button on the left, 3 tabs appear: Favorites, Feeds, and History. If you click the Favorites tab, a pull-down list of all your bookmarked websites appears. Click any of them, and you're taken to its associated website. The Feeds tab isn't pertinent to our discussion here, so we'll move on to the History tab, which allows you to look for a site you'd like to revisit but haven't bookmarked. You'll find this feature particularly handy when you meant to bookmark a site, but were interrupted and forgot. The pull-down arrow lets you choose how to display the sites in several different ways: by date, by site alphabetically, by most often visited, or by the order in which you visited them today. There's also a search box in which you can type a word or two that might be in the web page's title. When you click the search button, a list of possible sites appears. If you click the star and arrow button, an icon or button of the web page you're currently visiting will be added to the Favorites bar to the right. When a Favorites bar icon or button is clicked, you're immediately taken to its web page, a faster retrieval method that eliminates several clicks had you put the page in your Favorites list. By the way, you can add your History Report folder to the Favorites bar by going to the Favorites list and right-clicking the folder, then choosing the Add to Favorites bar command in the pull-down menu. And there it is. The fifth tier of Internet Explorer,
That's kind of where we will stop. I know they talk about Internet Explorer, and to be honest, dated. No one uses Internet Explorer. I don't think it even exists anymore. Most of us use Chrome or something along those lines. So, although it does give you some help there, some of it is a little dated, meaning that it's a little bit older. Jeez whiz. So, obviously, I wouldn't be a good teacher if I said don't forget about the library. Libraries can be gold mines of information on topics. You've seen a lot of information about using the internet for research, but what about libraries? You can find an entire book related to your topic. It may even answer your question a great deal. Now, the reason why I wasn't going to show this and I went back and forth on it, we will be all going back to regular school. We will all at some point be going to a library again, if not already started. So I do want to give you guys a little bit of information about the libraries and librarians. Libraries are great. Places for information and honestly to play and hang out, which is I did not know that you did at a library until I took Eleanor in, and there's a cool place to play all pre-pandemic, so maybe that'll open back up soon. Please for the summer.
Hi, I'm Aaron. This is a modern research library. And did you know you can find out anything here if you just know where to look?
Did you know that a catfish has over 27,000 taste buds?
Ladies and gentlemen, please meet my co-host. Hello, Megan.
What could be so tasty on the bottom of a pond? Ew.
What do you say, Megan? Ready to get started?
Well, actually, I've got a question for you. Why are we here? I mean, Aaron, let's face it, libraries just aren't that important anymore. At least not for research. You want research, you just go to Yahoo University or Hotbot College or whatever, right?
Not right. Sure, it's easy to go online for most things, but a modern research library will do things for you that you just can't find anywhere else. For example, most research libraries have private collections of material on specialized subjects. One library may have a big collection of the writings of Thomas Jefferson, for example. Another may specialize in collecting information about anthropology and sociology. This library happens to have a very extensive collection about the Great Hunger in 19th century Ireland. You can't find the stuff on the net. It just isn't there to find.
Hey, look, a whole section on butterflies.
Another thing you can get from your library that you can't find on the World Wide Web is quality of information, not to mention accuracy of information. Many sites don't care about the accuracy or the honesty of what's in it. The library does, and generally classifies its information so you can tell what's accurate and what's sensational. The third advantage of using a library for research is speed. Yep, speed. If Megan goes looking for research on the internet, she's liable to find tens of thousands of sites. Now she's got to go and look at each of them to see if it's what she wants. At the library, you just go to their databases, the card catalog or indexes or bibliographies, and hone in on what you want very quickly.
Did you know that butterflies taste with their feet? I wonder why there aren't more books like this.
Which brings us to the final advantage of using the library for serious research. It has much better tech support. When you really need help, just see a librarian. Let's see you do that on the internet.
Alrighty. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on from libraries. Let me be connected here. And there's a little boom. What's different about the information you find in library compared to the internet? Well, it's quite simple. Quality. You can find it, quality information you can find much easier and faster and better and more in depth by going to a library. Plus, you got librarians there. I mean, that is their job, is to help you out while you're there when you're doing your research. So that is always a great place to go when you're starting your research. Obviously, we don't have access to that right now because we are an online class. So what type of beginning research, what type of sources will you start with? When you start looking up information to answer research questions, you may be tempted to dive in and start reading anything you want. That's one way to do this kind of research, but probably not the best way. To make more efficient use of time, start by finding out lots of different resources that could potentially contain answers to your research questions. You can bookmark, check out, photocopy from your chosen sources, and also be sure to label them carefully. You can spend time later reading through each of them and comparing to what they say. About what you can say, you can catalog it. So there's an activity that goes with this. I've already built our activity, which is our government project, which kind of encompasses all this information here. But that does take you guys to your quiz, and your quiz is right here, finding sources. All right, a little 4-question quick quiz there. Alrighty, looking at our agenda here, we are actually going to do mini mystery science number 29. Let's go to mini mystery science number 29. Let's go ahead and open up our Canvas page. We're going to go to our discussion board. So when we go to our discussion board, we actually need to go right here where it says Online Academy 2021. Go up to Delaware Pacer logo. We click there and we open that one up, and then we go to where it says discussions. Now, some of this also may be in your calendar or to-do list as well, but I kind of want to show you this way in case you get a little confused. So we said number 29. 29 is right here, due May 14th. Let's go ahead and open that one up, if I can get it opened up. Spinning. So there are 2 questions here. Usually I do 3, but today I'm going to do 2. Are butterflies the only animal that starts off as a caterpillar? I wouldn't ask that question if I didn't think it was important. And number 2, are there any baby animals that look totally different from when they grow up? Like, for example, like humans, like Eleanor is going to look like a human when she grows up, right? She has a head, she has arms, she has legs, she's got teeth and eyes and nose and ears and all that stuff. When she gets older, she simply just have, longer hair. She'll have, saggy skin. She'll be just old and miserable. No, I'm just kidding. But that, she'll look pretty much the same. She'll look like the same. Does anything else change completely? Like a caterpillar is a fat little wormy looking thing, and then it grows up into a beautiful butterfly that flies away. Totally different. Are there any other animals that do that? Okay, let's take a look at our mini mystery science video by Doug. Is the one that kind of runs this sort of thing. I love this picture. It's a great picture.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Sumaya.
I have a question for you. Are butterflies the only animals that start out as caterpillars?
Ooh, that's a great question. But rather than me answer it, I'm going to let my friend Jeremiah take this one. Jeremiah is a teacher who knows a lot about this subject. Let's give Jeremiah a call now.
Hi, Doug. I hear you have a question for me.
I do. Sumaya is wondering, are butterflies the only animals that start out as caterpillars?
I would love to answer that question. Once when I was living in Japan, I had an experience with butterflies that I will never forget. My students and I were on a camping trip in a place called Nara. As we hiked to our campsite, we began to notice these strange little things hanging everywhere, from trees and bushes and even large rocks. Even our tents were covered with them, even the inside of the tents. At first, I wanted to run back and out of the woods as fast as I could. But when I looked at my students' faces, I realized that they were looking for me to be brave and tell them what to do. After all, I was their teacher. So we ignored them as best we could, and we went to sleep. The next morning, we noticed one of the strange things wriggling about.
Whoa!
Then suddenly, it
Never
burst
seen it do
open
that.
and a large insect crawled out. At first, I was worried it was going to be like a scene from a scary movie. That is, until its majestic wings began to spread. Before long, it became a beautiful butterfly, and it flitted away. Now, these little things hanging everywhere, they were what you might know as a cocoon. Or to be exact, since these were butterflies and not moths, scientists would call them chrysalis. By the end of our camping trip, our entire campsite was filled with butterflies. It was truly an experience that I will never forget. Just weeks before, this is what they had looked like. They were caterpillars, the baby form of a butterfly. But then the caterpillars created a chrysalis. And a few weeks later, poof, almost like magic, they emerged as a totally different looking creature, a butterfly. I mean, it was almost like they were shape-shifting, like Maui does in the movie Moana. Think about it for a second. Can you think of any other animal that can totally change like that?
I can't.
What do you think? Now would be a good time to pause the video and just...
So go back to our discussion board post and see if you can answer that question. Are there any other animals that look totally different when they're grown up from this? Actually, kind of, you know what? This is kind of a cute caterpillar. Butterfly's all right. Kind of, I like the caterpillar better actually in this one. Man, look at the colors of that one. That's so pretty. Do you know any animals that go from look totally different from baby to adult? Put it in the discussion board post.
discuss.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
What's up?
As you thought about this, you may have realized that when a lot of animals are born, they pretty much look like mini adults. Look at this turtle.
Oh.
It has eyes, a nose, it even has a shell. It pretty much looks like a mini adult turtle. And check out this baby horse. It's got 4 legs, a mane, a tail. Except for being smaller, It looks exactly like a mini grown-up horse. So, are butterflies truly one of a kind? Are they the only animals that seem to shapeshift like this? Well, actually, no. It may be surprising to hear that there are a lot of animals that do. Like, have you ever seen one of these? This alligator-looking insect may look unfamiliar to you as a baby, but I bet you'll recognize it as an adult. Can you guess what it is? Let's watch how it changes and find out. Can you guess what it is? It's a ladybug, a type of beetle. Ladybug babies look nothing like the beetles they'll become when they're adults. When animals completely change like this, it's called metamorphosis. And butterflies and ladybugs aren't the only animals that do this. In fact, a lot of insects totally look different when they're babies.
Huh.
Like, check this out. Goliath beetle.
Oh, those are cool.
One of the largest insects on Earth.
I mean, that is big.
This is what it looks like as an adult. And this is what it looks like when it's a baby.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Doesn't it look like a worm? In fact, instead of being called caterpillars, many beetle babies are sometimes called mealworms. When it's time to turn into an adult, they bury themselves deep underground. After 3 weeks, they climb out as adult beetles. So there are lots of insects that seem to shapeshift. But what about other animals, like bigger ones? Are there any of those? There are. Have you ever seen these swimming in a pond? Though they kind of look like tiny, round fish, these animals aren't fish at all. You may know what they are already. They're tadpoles. Tadpoles spend most of their time underwater. After a few weeks, the tadpoles grow back legs.
We used to capture them all the time
And
as kids.
then they grow front legs. And then pretty soon, their tail disappears and then pop out of the water as
They
adult
never look
frogs.
like that, though.
And frogs aren't the only animals that do that. Check this out. They look really similar to frogs to me.
What is that?
But what are
Is
they?
it a fly? I
They're
think it's a fly.
salamanders.
Ah,
When salamanders are babies, they look really similar to frog tadpoles. Here's a trick to tell them apart, though. During metamorphosis, a frog tadpole will grow its back legs first, then its front legs. But a salamander tadpole does just the opposite. It will grow its front legs first, then its back legs. That's how you can tell it's going to grow up to be a salamander and not a frog. So, in the animal world, some types of animals have babies that really just look like mini adults. But plenty of animals have babies that are born looking completely different from how they'll look as adults.
never would have guessed that.
Baby animals that can completely change like this are so special that scientists have given them their own name. Larva. We call a baby animal a larva if it has a totally different shape or form than what it will look like when it's an adult. Caterpillars are the classic example of a larva that lots of people know. They're the larvae of butterflies. But beetles, frogs, salamanders all start out in life as larvae and seem to shapeshift into something totally different when they're adults. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Sumaya, for asking it.
Now, after this video is done playing, my friends and I here at Mystery Science have created a special activity where you'll observe what happens to caterpillars as they grow bigger and bigger and bigger.
Whoa.
You'll also create a card for someone special with your own very hungry caterpillar. You can do this activity in a group or all by yourself. I hope you'll try it. Now, for the next episode, I reached into my question jar and picked out 3 questions sent in to me that I'm thinking about answering next. When this video is done playing, you'll get to vote on one. You can choose from: how are magnets made? How were toasters?
So they actually changed them because this was from last week. I pulled 3 questions from my jars. Which one would you like to explore? Can plants grow without soil? Well, we know that. We already studied that. When was chalk invented? Do people really use robots? Yeah, I have a Roomba, so I'm voting for that one. Alrighty. So make sure you guys hit the discussion board and you answer these questions here. Alrighty. Our next thing we're gonna do is leaves and quiz. So we need to open up another Canvas page and we need to go into science. Let's see here. Where is science? Science, Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill. Sorry, you guys don't enjoy my singing here. Let's go all the way down to our leaves. There they are, leaves. Yes, leaves are everywhere. They're growing on our trees right now. Parts of a seedling, leaves. Why are they so important? If you absolutely had to pick one part of a plant is most important, you might pick the plant's leaves. Leaves perform photosynthesis, which is the process through which plants absorb light and convert it into food in the form of carbohydrates. Leaves are usually flat and thin, which maximizes the amount of area they are exposed to sunlight. Exposure to sunlight is important, of course, for photosynthesis. Most plant leaves have similar characteristics, such as a leaf stalk, a petiole, and a leaf blade, the flat part of the leaf. Leaves also have chloroplasts. Some plants have modifications that help protect their leaves or allow plants to capture animal life. Remember to add information about leaves, shapes, and characteristics in our brains. So we're going to watch this video to find a little bit more about leaves. Oh, sorry. Let's start that over again. I forgot to undo that.
As a seedling develops into a mature plant,
I love
new
watching the
leaves
speed up
form.
versions of plants growing.
Leaves are critical to the plant's survival. Plants are completely dependent on their leaves. Without them, plants could not produce food or grow. Inside the leaf is a miniature laboratory of sorts, a place where light is used to produce food through a process called photosynthesis.
Leaves are very important to a plant. They absorb light to produce food that helps the plant grow and progress through their life cycle. Leaves can vary in their structure according to the species of the plant. They're so important to a plant that without their leaves, plants would not be able to survive.
Creepy. I think we get those in our backyard. We pull them out of the ground though. They're kind of weeds. Still cool. It's like little fingers just looking for something to grab onto. And the leaves are moving as the sun moves. It's kind of cool. That is cool. Just following the sun around.
Since a leaf's primary function is to produce food for the plant, it will go to extraordinary lengths to achieve its objective. Leaves and their features have become very specialized, improving the odds of their plant's continued survival. Whether it's a plant with protective prickles on its leaves or a slippery pitcher plant hungry for a meal, some leaves are modified to suit the needs of their plant.
The basic function of a leaf is to capture sunlight and provide food for the plant. But beyond that, a leaf has to be adapted to the environment in which it lives. This is a philodendron. It grows deep on the forest floor of the rainforest. Its leaves are large to capture sunlight, but they're also grooved with wavy margins so that when water pours down on the leaf, it doesn't damage it. This philodendron is adapted to life deep in the rainforest.
Aloe is used to treat minor cuts and burns.
Yeah, I think Danny
But
has
the
aloe.
thick, fleshy leaf also helps
Aloe
the aloe
plant.
plant survive. It acts as a storage facility, stockpiling water for a plant that makes its home in the desert. For a leaf-hungry predator, aloe can be quite a challenge. Before it can get to the sap, the predator must first get past the sharp, protective prickles on the edges of the aloe's modified leaves. This is no easy task. Another plant with modified leaves is the trumpet pitcher.
It's a carnivorous, or animal-eating plant, native to North America. Trumpet pitchers live in mostly wet regions where there are not enough nutrients in the soil to fully sustain the plant. So, to compensate for the lack of available nutrients, these organisms supplement their diets by consuming insects like ants. It uses the sweet nectar from its leaf to lure susceptible prey, and the leaf resembles the shape of a pitcher. When an unsuspecting insect gives in to the temptation of the nectar, it loses its footing on the leaf and tumbles into a pool of water below, where it drowns and is consumed by the plant. Another plant that uses modified leaves to trap and consume insects is the Venus flytrap. This carnivorous plant is found primarily in North and South Carolina, and it responds to touch. When an insect makes contact with the leaves' touch-sensitive hairs, it triggers the leaves to close, trapping a meal inside.
Alrighty, so, let's see if I can get out of that and open this up. Good. So, as you can see, leaves are very important. They come in many different shapes and sizes and perform multiple tasks, but the biggest one definitely is photosynthesis. Without photosynthesis, the plant cannot create carbohydrates and sugars from the sun. So what is the purpose of chloroplasts in a leaf? They use the sun's energy to convert carbon dioxide, mostly in sugar, for the plant. So without chloroplast, we can't get the carbon dioxide out of the air, which is bad for us, but good for the plants. Leaves share two kinds of tissues with root and stems. This tissue makes up the plant's plumbing system. What are these two types of tissues? We know them as phylum and xylem, xylem and phylum. Kind of funky names, xylem and phylum. For some reason, I always say phylum and xylem, but they wrote xylem and phylum. So those are the two types. What is the phylum tissue, and why is the phylum tissue in the leaves so important? Phylum carries the glucose, the sugar, the energy, and other food products made by the leaves, which the plant uses for food, to all the other cells in the plant. So you got to have all the parts working together in unison for the plant to be successful. And leaves quiz, much like the International Space Station, where everyone works together. See how I kind of all tie it all together? Let's check our agenda here. So we've done all of our things here. Let's go into our afternoon. Afternoon, you know what I'm saying? So today we're actually going to do the math plotting coordinates. So we're going to do a little bit of math here. Let's go ahead and open up math and hit log in and find math. There it is. 3 plus 2 is still 5. I'm glad that kid can figure that out. So was that a bare hand? We don't really know. And let it kind of load up. Give it a second. This makes it much easier rather than I'm just scrolling like a madman or mad person. Let's see here. Plotting coordinate points. So we've had a lot of practice with this, but let's kind of nail it home here. In this lesson, you're going to learn about how to work backwards. Instead of identifying points in the coordinate planes, you'll be graphing points in the form of x, y.
Graphing points on the plane is a lot like finding your way around. Suppose you drive into a town named Grafton. You're at the intersection of the town's two main streets, X Avenue and Y Street. You want to find the nearest gas station, so you ask for directions. A passerby says you will find a gas station 5 blocks east and 4 blocks north. So you go looking for the gas station. You drive 5 blocks east, then you turn left and drive 4 blocks north. There's the gas station. You've located a point. You moved 5 right, 4 up. We'll use the same directions to locate a point on the coordinate plane. The map of Grafton is a lot like the graph paper we use to show the coordinate plane. Horizontal and vertical grid lines help us locate points accurately. The X and Y axes give us a place to start. That's the origin. We graphed this point by using 2 numbers, the ordered pair, 5, 4. The X coordinate is positive 5. That's 5 units to the right of the origin. The Y coordinate, positive 4, is 4 units up. The point we're looking for is right here. It's above 5 on the x-axis and across from 4 on the y-axis. This ordered pair has the same numbers, but the order is different. It's 4 units right, 5 units up. That's a completely different point. By the way, we can label points with ordered pairs or with capital letters, or we can just let the point stand alone. Let's look at another ordered pair. Both coordinates here are negative numbers. We'll have to show more of the coordinate plane to graph it. We'll start at the origin and move left in the negative direction. Negative 5 is here. The y-coordinate is negative, so we'll move 4 down. The point is here. To graph any point, start at the origin, then work with the numbers in the ordered pair. The x-coordinate tells us how far to move in a horizontal direction. If the number is positive, move right. If it's negative, move left. The y-coordinate tells us how much to move vertically. If the number is positive, move up. If it's negative, move down. Let's plot a point from the table for x plus y equals 10. Try 3, 7. Use your graph paper. Draw an x-axis and a y-axis. Then locate the point by starting at the origin. The x-coordinate is positive 3. That's 3 units to the right. The y-coordinate is positive 7, up 7 units. The point is here at A. Here's another ordered pair. Find its location on the plane. Start at the origin. The x-coordinate is positive 4, so it's 4 units to the right. The y-coordinate is negative 3, so it's down 3 units. That puts it right here. We'll label this point B. What about these coordinates? 6 and 0. It's 6 units to the right on the x-axis. Y is 0. That puts the point right here on the x-axis. It's not in any quadrant. Where do you think this point belongs? X is 0 at the origin. Y is 3 units up. 0, 3 is here on the y-axis. Points that lie on an axis are called intercepts. We'll take a closer look at intercepts soon. Now, let's go back to our table. Here's a pair, 4.5, 5.5. We can estimate the location of these points by looking between the grid lines. We can be more accurate by changing the scale on the axes to show fractional divisions, like this. Now each grid line stands for 1/2. The x-coordinate of 4.5 is here along the grid line between 4 and 5. The y-coordinate of 5.5 is up, right here. It's along the grid line that lies between 5 and 6 on the y-axis. We'll call this point C. Let's look at another situation where it makes sense to change the scale on the axes. We'd need a lot of graph paper to plot this point if we let each grid line stand for 1. So we'll let each grid line stand for 10. Negative 50 is over here. 30 is up here, directly across from 30 on the y-axis.
So you can have your numbers big, your numbers can be small. It's helpful to have the correct, oh, my disk is almost full. So that means I probably need to wrap up this video pretty quick. So if we quickly identified some points here, point A, you move over 4, up 4. Point B, over 6, up 0. So 0, 6. Or 6, 0, I'm sorry. Ooh. And for number C, you go, letter C, you go over 9, up 4. So over 9, up 4. So let's see here. Finding the address. Think back to the video about a coordinate plane, like driving through your town. You're given directions to a new restaurant, and your family gets the car. You need to drive 5 blocks west and 8 blocks north to get there. So it's like going over 8, up 5. I kind of need to kind of quickly go through this because you saw up there, I was running out of space to store there. So you want to go over 3. this one, and then up 7. So over 3, up 7. So that's 3, 7. When we do that, so we're going to actually skip that part right there because we can't get all that in there with our video time running out. But this takes you to your plotting coordinates quiz. And this takes us to our last thing. If I hit go to clever, and the last thing is I want to play a quick brain pop if I can squeeze that all in with my drive getting filled up. So I go in here, and the brain pop video is going to be called the AAPI. Has anybody ever heard of AAPI before? Well, if you haven't, today is your day. AAPI. Let's see here. And there it is. There it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and watch this video together, and hopefully we can get through the whole thing. Fingers crossed.
Hello, and welcome back to Brain Pop News. Today's show is in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This month marks the anniversary of the arrival of Nakahama Manjiro on May 7, 1843, widely considered to be the first Japanese immigrant to the United States, and of completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10, 1869. A feat of engineering that Chinese immigrants played a huge role in building. Our guest today is a Chinese immigrant who's made key contributions to a different kind of engineering feat, the revolutionary genetic engineering tool known as CRISPR. It's a way to make changes to DNA, the molecule that holds our genetic code, the chemical letters that spell out the instructions for building living things. The full set of these instructions is called the genome, and CRISPR can be used to edit them. Here to tell us more about it is Dr. Feng Zhang, a biochemist at the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard.
Hi, Nat. It's nice to meet you, and thank you for having me here.
Thanks for joining us, Dr. Zhang. First, can you tell us a bit about yourself and what brought you to the United States?
So I was born in China, and I moved to the U.S. when I was 11. I moved with my parents to Des Moines, Iowa. My mother came to the U.S. on her own initially, and she was a visiting scholar. And what she saw there is that the way that teachers were teaching their students in America was very different than the school systems in China. In China, they have large classrooms, and teachers really emphasize memorization of information. Whereas the classes in the U.S. Are smaller, and also they're more hands-on. Because when I was growing up, I would always cause trouble by taking things apart and not putting them back together. My mother thought that if I was in a more hands-on environment, I would really like it.
Seems like your mom was right. You went on to work in a genetics lab in high school and have been doing hands-on science ever since. About a decade ago, genetic researchers started talking about this thing called CRISPR. It was discovered in bacteria where it acts like an immune system. CRISPR finds DNA from invaders like viruses and chops it up. What was it about CRISPR that caught your attention?
When I learned about CRISPR, I thought this is a really cool system that maybe we can engineer into a gene editing system so that we can change DNA in not just bacterial cells, but in human cells or animal cells and plant cells. And so I worked with my laboratory and my team to turn CRISPR into a gene editing tool. The idea is to go into the genome and fix these letters, just like you would do in a document. So if the genome was a 3 billion letter document in Microsoft Word, then fixing a typo is not too difficult. You can just open up the search function, type in the typo, and then you can type in the new letter that you want to replace it with. But how do you do this in the chemical document of the genome? The way CRISPR works is that it acts as a search function for the DNA in your cell. You can program this CRISPR system to recognize that specific typo in the DNA. And so when you introduce CRISPR into the cell, it will search along the DNA and find where that typo is, and it will latch onto it. Once it latches on, it will cut DNA. So you can delete DNA letters, and you can also insert DNA letters.
That's pretty amazing. So, has CRISPR actually been used to fix harmful typos in people's DNA?
Just a couple of years ago, people have reported that they were able to treat people who have sickle cell disease using CRISPR, and some of the early results seemed quite promising. These patients who received the treatment no longer had to go back to the hospital to get blood transfusion, which is a very complicated procedure.
That is exciting. Your lab is also using CRISPR to diagnose illnesses like COVID-19. How does that work?
The way this works is similar to how you are trying to find a typo in the genome. Instead, you program CRISPR to recognize a genetic signature that's in the virus's genome. And if it does, then it will either trigger a glow in the tube, or if you dip a paper strip into it, it will show up with a new line. So this is something that we and also many other people are working on now to really develop something that is easy to use and also very low cost.
That's very cool. I could keep asking you questions about CRISPR all day, but now it's time for a little pop quiz.
You mean a little crisp quiz. Today's grand prize is this bucket of crispy chicken coated in imitation gold leaf. I have 5 crispy questions for you. Get 3 right, and the chicken is yours. Are you ready?
Sure, yeah.
Excellent. Let's begin. The Honeycrisp is a variety of...
Apple.
Correct. Strong start. In British English, the word crisp refers to this popular snack food.
I don't know.
Chip.
That would be the potato chip, which puts you at 1 for 2. Let's see if you can get back ahead on this next question. In hip-hop vernacular, what does it mean to be looking crispy?
Looking sharp?
Good outfit.
Correct, and you're 1 point away from victory. Rice Krispies cereal is known to make 3 sounds when combined with milk.
Snap, crackle, and pop.
What are they?
Crunchy sound, and a chewing sound, and a pop sound.
Our judges are willing to give you partial credit for pop. We were also looking for snap and crackle. You're 2.33 for 4. But you can still get to 3 if you nail the final question. And it's the most important question of all. Crispy tacos or soft?
Soft taco.
Crispy.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. The answer is soft.
Soft.
I mean, come on, the crispy shell just falls apart 2 bites in.
True.
Okay.
Very true.
They're both great. Both delicious.
Well, that leaves you with 2.33 out of 5. Not quite enough for the golden chicken. But since you love crispy tacos so much, we whipped up the crispiest taco of all time, just for you. Filled with Honeycrisp apple chunks, potato crisps, and Rice Krispies.
Oh
wow. That's wonderful.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have today. Until next time, stay crispy.
Alrighty, so that puts a wrap on today. I just want to quickly go over and make sure you guys have your scoop pad for 40 points this week. Make sure you check your missing work. I'm going to send out your Lexia, your scoop pad 40 points. You have your finding sources quiz, your mini mystery science 29, your leaves quiz, and your plotting coordinates quiz. All right, I will see you on Monday. Bye.